Hello. Oh, perfect. Hi. Uh, Odysseus here. Once more, and we're still in bed, but we're doing better. I spent a night in the med bay. I got better for the most part. And, I was able to drag myself up here and get some food. Well, now I'm just resting and writing to pass the time. They've got replicators. I was right. They're right there in the commissary. They just pop out food. There's a very diverse menu. Actually, I brought some stuff up here. There's I can't pronounce it. I can barely read the symbols that they use, but it's like mac and cheese, but brighter. Yeah, that's awful. But it grows on you. There's also these sodas here that, like, this one is Go-Go Mango, I think it says. And I've got Cherry Bomb. It's got the exclamation points. So you have to say it like that. The soda's weirdly dusty, though. I don't know how a soda that just came out of the replicator happens to be dusty, but... No, there's food. I'm kind of living the high life here, besides the, giant gash in my side, and the flu, and or SFLU, I guess. And those three pokey bastards down there, the three stooges. Kind of, otherwise, this is kind of my perfect life. I spend all my day in my apartment alone. Now that I'm out here in space, so much distance, I'm still... now I want them back. Two-way communication is kind of difficult, and... well, it's better than I thought it would be. I figured out how to upload things to YouTube, so maybe someone will hear me. Can't communicate with my parents, though. Fuck. I wonder who'll notice that. So in order to distract myself, I started writing a story. There's a surprising amount of material here to write on. There are these little sheetrock slates with pens that draw in like those magnets with the iron filings? Kind of like that. But not. But kind of. Well, I collected up a bunch of them because I couldn't figure out how to scroll or turn the page, so now I've got 14 of these motherfuckers just hanging out of order. Anyway, we'll be back to exploring later, and I hope you, enjoy my story. I'd love criticism, commentary. I want to see what you think and how you would write it better. I just want to talk. Anyway, so our story opens on an unnamed protagonist, where I think most of the characters really aren't going to get much of a name. Our protagonist is a medieval scientist, an alchemist kind of, in medieval Italy. Like every supernatural horror movie. This alchemist works hard, though, in order to create a better life for his family, saving his daughter from the plague after it took his son, and I guess he has a wife too or something, I don't know. She's not really important. What's more important is that he discovers a mutagen, a sort of injectable that allows him to process certain gases. into magic effects, the most prominent and noticeable being sulfur, which he's able to channel through his mouth and hands as fire. In this discovery, his daughter walks in, and he doesn't know how to control it yet. And so in the process of telling her to leave, he cooks her. And he burns down his house. He destroys his life, his body. As he's crawling out of the burning wreckage of what he knew, the unknown approaches, stepping into his view as an anachronistic demon in a well-tailored suit. This demon crouches down, his face never visible, and offers a deal. The alchemist gets an extended lease on life, continued time to work on his project, and possibilities for extension. All he need do is kill his oldest surviving child. Anyway, his kids are able to hurt him, and able to leave lasting damage where otherwise he would recover. As long as he maintains the will to live, he will always heal, even from death. But what he doesn't know at the start of the movie is that it has to come from somewhere. And so when he doesn't die, one of his kids does. When he gets hurt and heals instantly, they suffer the damage. When he gets a lucky break, they suffer extreme misfortune, and he gets a lot of lucky breaks. However, he's not completely stupid, of course. He's a scientist, and he builds in a suicide clause, allowing him an out, as long as he maintains the will to live, though. That means he can't go into battle expecting to die. The demon's kind of taking into account that, he can't really run into danger, so he can't really just kill off his ilk, even though he's not aware that that's a motivation. He takes the deal, of course, as he has that will to live. And he's given a list that will update with the eras, that has all of his kids' names and locations. The next hundreds of years sees him experimenting with his powers as he establishes himself to be cruel but efficient, and leans into the mentality of, if I'm going to do something, I'm gonna fucking enjoy it. It all comes to an end when, after a night of carousing and unethical experimentation using his powers, which are now being dispensed from inhalers, he's alone on the street, and the demon appears. He stands just behind him, and the alchemist turns around, and finally sees the rest of the demon. For where the neck would stop at the head, it continues into the darkness and into the mist, until the eyes of the anglerfish demon on which it is attached open, giant and luminescent in the night. This is heavy symbolism, of course, and not very subtle, but it shows that he is not prepared for what he signed up for. He didn't look deeper, and he may be smart, but he has such arrogance. They inform him that his deal is coming to an end, and he has to perform the sacrifices. Now, he's been avoiding his kids this entire time. He knows that they are able to hurt him, and he does not want to go through eternity with a limp. So he knows next to nothing about them. The crux of this is that his major misunderstanding is that he thought the oldest surviving was a singular being, realizing that he has to kill his entire line, not just his oldest child, but the oldest surviving. He starts getting cold feet, not sure if he's ready to murder so many of his line, though he's spent so much of his time willfully torturing individuals. Imagining in his mind that it would be a huge population. Of course, when he retrieves his list, he sees that it is a surprisingly short number of names. Act 1 ends with him essentially just going on a violent Saw-like murder rampage, where you get to see this Jason Voorhees-esque character, this Michael Myers-esque person, going around just murdering people. You know that they're going to die, it's just a question of how. And it's all involving his magic, his pneumomancy, his powers. Act 2 opens with the appearance of a hunter who's out to kill him. This hunter is clearly one of his kids, as he's able to hurt the protagonist and cause him a wound that continues on through the rest of the story. But he doesn't know who the child is, and in a brief exchange, he pisses them off by not recognizing the name given. There's something disheartening about knowing that the person that is going through a list of names that you are on doesn't know who you are. It creates a weird sort of predator-prey triangle where the protagonist is out to kill the oldest and the hunter is out to help the oldest escape. He knows his contract is coming to an end, and the hunter knows his contract is coming to an end, and the hunter just wants to delay him. But the more L's he takes, the more jaded and desperate he grows. There's a lot of also symbolism that I want to focus on, things like that a lot of this horror happens in the daytime, and that I get to draw a little bit on this Texas Chainsaw habit of knowing that the light isn't any more safe than the dark, or any more dangerous either. Eventually, he manages to help one get away, but of course, just using them as bait. This time so coldly analytical that he's ready to let a sibling just take a death in order to stop his father. Now that he's baited his father out into the open, they end up in a mutually assured destruction situation. I see it as like a mine shaft. The target has fallen down. But the two of them are hanging from chains, set very far apart, but are connected by a pulley of some kind. The protagonist is not really ready to kill the hunter. It's not his time yet. It's a point of arrogance, essentially. And the hunter can't kill the protagonist because there's plenty of kid fodder coming up. He can still resurrect. So they work together, climbing equally without letting either slip too far. And in the sort of charming arrogance of the protagonist, he asks his youngest to breakfast. They go to Denny's at like 3 a.m. They're kind of in there alone as the staff are out back smoking. And they have a conversation. This is where the protagonist learns that his misfortunes have been pushed to them. His deaths have been causing them to die, and that he's essentially just been this curse linked to their souls this entire time. Of course, keeping in the line of lucky breaks and misfortunes, the next target walks in to the diner while they're there. She looks just like his daughter. But he goes through with it anyway. And he kills her there. His youngest has had enough and absconds with a series of these asthma inhalers. And he finds out that he has the power. He has this mutagenic skill that, though he doesn't have the precise control that his ancestor does, he has a sheer amount of murderous rage and is now ready for mutually assured destruction. He is now ready for both of them to just disappear. He comes back to confront his ancestor, and they have a full-out fight that consumes the kind of last 15 minutes of the second act. But the protagonist, in the end, wins out. He has his youngest pinned to the floor, a fist of fire posed in front of his face. He can't do it. He realizes that his legacy is in his hands here, and that though he may not be able to continue his research, it lives on through his children. Act 3 is quiet. His protagonist sorts out his final needs. He meets his children, and he gets to know them a little bit. He finds out that several of them have these powers, some of which are actually aware of them. He gives out notes and notes from all of his study to his kids. And though his youngest watches him with a hair trigger ready to kill him, that is the one that is eventually given responsibility to guide the rest of the children. And I say children, though that many of them are adults. In a moment when his kid is not looking, the demons return, and his contract comes to an end. They stand around him and give him one more offer. He has such power, and he has a certain will to live. And they ask him to become one of them, to work with them, to continue his study, and he will count as dying, allowing his children to be free from his curse. They get to live their lives fully and happily again. All this sounds great. He accepts. The movie ends with his grotesque transformation into one of the demon creatures, proving yet again he really didn't know what he was getting into. But he sets off with his new family. The movie ends with juxtaposing shots of his old and his new family. Anyway, that's my story, and I hope you liked it. I rambled a little bit. I admit I'm still under the weather a little bit. But tomorrow, I think, I'm gonna go explore the station. There's those skeletons in many of the rooms, and there's 6 other arms. Well, 5 other arms, and the center of this station to go explore. For now. Well, I don't know how to sign off.